Hello, and welcome back to part 7 of our drive to the Lake District. Right, so here we are on the A591 in Windermere, and we did try to see if there were a chip shop on here, but there used to be, but unfortunately it's closed. So I'll continue the story of the bikes, and we continue with that bike, the GL 1800 Honda Goldwing, and that was Sam and me on the bike. We were just about to go for a ride, and Lynn took our photograph. So the Goldwing, so as I said, the day that we bought the bike, we did the part exchange with the Pan-European. We rode from Manchester, the dealership, to Harrogate in North Yorkshire. I seem to remember it being about 80 miles, thereabouts. So on a cold, frosty February morning, sun shining, yes, beautiful sunshine. It was like a day like this, but the difference was it was probably around about 1 or 2 degrees, so it was quite cold. So we went to Harrogate and visited a couple of friends there, and showed off the bike, and then when we'd sort of finished our visit there, we'd been winter time, of course. We rolled home in the dark, and well, what an experience that was. Practically all the way, I seem to remember it being about 50 miles from Harrogate to Blackburn, over the A59 blubber houses, and practically all the way it was thick fog, and it was freezing fog. Oh, it was terrible. The lights on the Goldwing were excellent, but it just didn't mean a thing because the fog was so thick, the light just sort of bounced off it, and we just couldn't see ahead. So I was practically at snail pace all the way home. And I remember it cleared, somewhere around Colne area, somewhere in that area, it suddenly cleared. It was like getting your sight back, but then we were plunged back into it, 2 or 3 miles further down the road, if that. So when we got home, and Lynn opened the garage door, and I rode into the garage, and couldn't believe it. The whole of the screen, the whole front end of the bike, the screen, the fairing, the forks, was covered in ice, and it all fell off onto the garage floor. I could hear it clatter down. And even the aerial, this bike had an aerial for the radio at the back, a single aerial, and even that was coated in ice. it just couldn't credit it. That has to be amongst the worst conditions that we've ridden in. We've had torrential rain and high winds, but fog, I've never ridden in that for so long. I mean, it was, as I said, 50 miles, and it was just, I was just so glad to get home. So there we are. So now we're home, and we have a red Goldwing, and I took Sam to I think it was Sam, to the Lake District the following day, the Sunday. We did quite a bit of riding on that weekend on the Goldwing. I think it was Lynn that came with me, I think. And so we put some miles on this bike on that first weekend, and I loved it. Couldn't believe how how powerful, how low down, just so comfortable. And Lynn, the seat on the Gullwing was it's like an armchair. Sorry about that notification email. I've silenced it now. So it was like an armchair, So she was like the Queen, sat there, and I remember one of the I think I was saying to someone recently about how many times I dropped the bike, and in 23 years total riding time, 1980 to 1990 and 2004 till 2017, I think I dropped my bike 4 times in that time. So I personally, well over 100,000 miles covered. I personally don't think that's too bad. Bad enough when it happens. Funny enough, twice we're on the BMW, which I'll get to later on. So Monday morning, a work day, I think, so I'll go on the bike to show the bike off at work, and so I'm going up what we call North Road in Blackburn, and at the top of North Road there's a little mini roundabout, and it's only paint. There's only paint on the road. It's like some people call them fried eggs, which I suppose they are really. And so I'm indicating right to go into Shadworth Road, and there's traffic coming down, traffic coming up, and but when it became my turn to go, my right of way, I turned right, but unfortunately I was expecting, or I was treating the Gullwing like the pan. In other words, I thought the engine was revving sufficient enough to carry me forward, but unfortunately it wasn't, because the Gullwing was so low revved. Different bike, different engine altogether to the pan, the V4 on the pan. Well, it stalled and it fell over, only at low speed, but onto this paint, onto this roundabout, slightly raised, So there I am, middle of the road, with this bike leaned over onto the road, and there was a car coming down, sort of didn't know which way to look or which way to what to do. There was a female car driver coming up Shadrow, which in a BMW, and she was like equally dumbstruck, like what am I doing? Nobody got out of the car, of course, I'm sorry, but that's what we expect. Nobody got out of the car to give me a hand. And there was a chap on the footpath. He equally didn't seem committed to come and give me a hand. So nobody offered any help. So I goes over. I gets off the bike and I goes to pick it up, and I couldn't believe how easy this bike was to pick up. I mean, there's a certain amount of adrenaline going on here, but at the same time, I couldn't believe how easy, because it's low down. It was so easy, such a joy to pick up, really. So anyway, there we go. So But then I realised when she was almost upright, I thought, oh no, the side stand is I'm just interrupting myself. Andy took that picture of us parked up on Kirkstone Pass. So a lovely view is that from there. I thought, oh no, the side stand isn't down. So I had to lay her back down gently, go round to the other side of the bike and put the side stand down, so that when I pick her up again, she can lean up onto the side stand. Because I can't like sort of jump on her, astride her when she's balancing, you know what I mean? So I leaned her over onto the side stand and then went back round to the side stands, you know, the near side of the bike, and then climbed back on and set off. So all was ended well, but I was a little bit, you know, a bit embarrassed and a little bit annoyed. Mixed feelings, you know. I thought, what have I done this for? You know, why did I go to work on it? But I had to find that out. I had to find out that the engine is a completely different beast to the pan engine. So I got to work, no problem, and everybody sort of, you know, oh, you know, is that your new bike and blah blah blah. And I'm not sure if I've got any photographs of the Gullwing at work. I don't think I have. Which is a surprise, really. So you know, we had that bike throughout 2007. We went on quite a few rides, and one thing that sticks in my mind, I'd gone to not long after getting her, really. I'd gone to St Anne's near Blackpool. There's a motorcycle meet there every Monday evening, and I got chatting to two bikers with Gullwings, and they were members of the Langston Lakes Gullwing Owners Club. Gullwing Owners Club of Great Britain, and so I got talking to him, you know, like you do, you know, and I'm one of the family now, and so I just happened to say to these two, I said, that's my Gullwing up there, you know, I've just got a Gullwing, and he says, one of them says, oh yeah, he says, I saw that, yeah, is it? I wondered whose Plain Jane that was, and I looked at him and I thought, Plain Jane? What the hell do you mean? How dare you? And apparently that's what they call Gullwings with no bling. In other words, you know, they're just naked without any extra bits and pieces that you can put on. I mean, there's no end to the stuff you can buy for a Gullwing, you know. So I were a bit offended at that. I thought, well, you can stuff your club. I'm not bloody joining your club. If that's how you, they didn't mean out by it, but it's just at the time I was just dumbstruck, you know. I thought, well, bloody hell, snobbery, you know. Anyway, there we go. Now we're just coming over Kirkstone Pass here. We're just approaching the Kirkstone Pass Inn. And I've decided to go down the struggle down to Ambleside. I thought, well, we'll get some lunch there. Just needed a bag of chips or something, you know. So I've introduced, I don't know if this will work. If it's on the final cut, it did work, you know, the exporting system worked. But I've introduced the rear camera here, so that you get a view of the Kirkstone Pass Inn, you know, so it just comes on now. About now. So now there we go. So now we're waiting for these two cars. Now, if it were me, if I were coming towards me, waiting to turn left, I'm indicating left. You've got to swing out to go down there. I would have flashed and let this car go, but they couldn't wait, so So there we are. That's the struggle. So it's a bit experimental. As I say, I've got a camera on the back of this car as well. It's a dash cam with dual camera. I'll put in the description the make and that. It was recommended by Techmoan, a YouTube channel called Techmoan, all one word, TECHMOAN, and he's absolutely brilliant. I recommend him. If you want to know anything about dash cams or retro hi-fi, cameras, hi-fi, new hi-fi, he's, you name it, he's covered it, he's reviewed it. He's absolutely brilliant, and I've followed him for a number of years now. So, you know, it's handy having the two. And he said it's the first dual dash cam that I'm happy to review. And I thought, well, before I got my car, I thought, well, I want a dash cam, and I thought, well, that's good enough for me. So I'll get that. So I got that, and it wasn't expensive. It was just over £100. You can get cheaper, but I think you get what you pay for, you know. And I think the quality is quite good. So yeah. So where were we? So Plain Jane. Yeah. So there we are. So fast forward a few months. I think it was September. I'm not sure. We'd gone over to, in the car, because it was a bit of a drizzly day, we'd gone over to a Honda dealership called Wider Honda, WYDER, Wider, from or in Preston, just outside Preston, going on the way to Longridge. And it was a nice brand new building. And so we knew that we'd found out that they were stockists of Revit motorcycle gear, and we like Revit. We always wore Revit jackets and Revit trousers, although Lynn at the moment she was wearing what they call the shop on in Preston, just oh dear, it'll come to me. If I remember, I'll put it up on the screen. But we got their own brand of jacket. We both were, but I went back to Revit. Got it from a place in Darwin. In fact, that reminds me, I could tell Andy about this place for his son in Darwin. Really good place. Again, I can't remember the damn name of it now. It's all gone. It's all gone from my mind at the moment, because I've not, I've been out of the biking fraternity now for over 2 years, and you soon forget little details like that. I know there's Ghost Riders, but I think they're in Preston, I think. Anyway, I digress. So we've gone over to Wider Honda for some trousers for Lynn, and we walked into the the place. It's on 2 levels. I think the motorcycles were upstairs, which seemed a bit odd, really. Because getting the bikes upstairs and all the clothing and that downstairs. You'd think it would be the other way around, but anyway, they obviously make more money from clothing. So anyway, in the clothing section, in the middle of the floor, was this unbelievably beautiful black GL 1800, and it was a 2007, so it was brand new. And you can imagine inside a showroom like that, polished up, well, she looked stunning. she looked a real beauty. In fact, we called her Black Beauty. So I said to the when Lynn was trying on her trousers and that, I went over to her and looking at this gullwing, and this guy said, "Have a sit on it." I said, "Well, we have a gullwing and all three, and yeah, but just have a sit on that, see what you think." And it was a bit different. They'd improved one or two bits and pieces. They'd put a heated seat on, front rider and pillion, and they'd got these little covers which operated from a lever on the handlebars somewhere, or on the fairing, which opened up these little vents that directed warm air from the engine to your boots. And it just looked the bee's knees. It wasn't the sat-nav airbag version which came out, I think, around about that time. So it was clearly a sort of, an exercise in sort of, selling off the older model. So I think it was a GL 1800 A6 model. Yeah, it was A6, and of course we had the either A2 or A3. So long story short, we did a deal, and we ended up buying this gullwing. So with the part exchange, I think all we had to borrow were about £5,000. Well, for a gullwing that's just been owned by Honda, it's not been a demo model, and the guy that worked there lived over in Huddersfield, I think, and he basically used it to get to and from work. So that's all mileage that were on it. Very, very few miles. So we ended up with so within 1 year we bought two gullwings. This is crazy when I'm thinking back. I was telling Andy the other day, doing these ramblings, and talking about our history of cars and bikes. It's quite shocking, really, how much money we've spent. But I'd do it all again, because especially after what's happened. We had a ball. We had an absolute ball. We didn't do anything risky. We didn't go into debt. We didn't put the house mortgage at risk or anything like that. We did everything carefully, and we always talked it over. We didn't do it. I didn't buy a bike without Lynn's approval. It was always with Lynn's approval, which I think it should be. And we had a ball, and thank goodness we did, because now that's over. If we'd not done anything that we did, I'd be full of regret. So it's the moral of the story is, within reason, enjoy life, because by God, it's too short. It's too short. So here we are, we're in Ambleside. We just come down the struggle, which in a car it is a struggle, really, because it's narrow roads and you've got to be very careful. On a bike it's a delight. We've just passed the little house there over the river. Belongs to the National Trust now, but I believe it was a little old lady's abode. She used to go to bed by going outside and up the steps. Unbelievable, really. But it's a lovely little. I'll introduce a picture here, proper photograph, so you can see what I'm talking about. And there it is, the little house. Happy memories looking at that. Childhood memories as well as recent times. So the bike, so we get the black gullwing. So I think that's where we'll leave this. The 2007 GL 1800, and bought it from Wider Honda. They weren't there very long. They've long since gone now. We're talking about Ambleside a bit. Just past the pub there on the right. You couldn't really see it on this camera. I can't remember what it's called now, but Lynn and me used to enjoy a pint of shandy, lager shandy there. On a day like this, it just went down really well. It is a very, very busy place. There's a one-way system here. In the left lane where this car is, that takes you to Windermere, Bowness, and eventually to the motorway. And here in this lane, what we're doing, we're looking to park up and get some lunch. So I just fancied a bag of chips. I know it's naughty, that, a bit naughty, but nice. So I got chips and mushy peas, and Andy, he got chips and gravy, I think. I knew they were a big chippy, and it's always open, but it's whether I could get parked near to it. So that's where we're going. So we're on this this one-way system now. We brought Ebony here, our eldest granddaughter, and oh, she loved it. She absolutely loved it. She was in the buggy then, and we went in this cafe for a meal, and yeah, it's first time she'd been here. Oh, she did. She loved it, and we loved having her. Yeah, it was lovely. So as I said, it just says on there we wanted to park up. So it's just really busy, but I've now got a blue badge, so it does enable me to park where we're sensible on yellow lines if necessary, but obviously not here because you're in the way. But I think you're allowed an hour, or maybe 30 minutes on these spots here. I could have parked in a couple of these spaces on the right there, but some have low curbs and they've got like a hidden entrance, to a drive or something. So, but luckily, just beyond this Pelican crossing, there's a space I spotted, and I thought, oh, perfect. And a lot of people make this mistake of driving forwards way into a space here, but of course what you've got to do is what I'm doing now. You've got to pull alongside this black car, and of course wait for everybody to pass you, and then reverse in. As long as you take your time and you check your mirrors, and there's nobody stepping off the footpath, and you're fully aware, you should be alright. So here we are, reversing in up against the curb. There you go. A bit of good parking, even though I say it myself. Right, well, thanks for watching, and so we continue with the black gullwing story, and see you on part 8. Okay, bye for now.